We're absolutely thrilled to be opening this building at such an important time for New York City. It's 20 years ago, in the aftermath of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, that Deutsche Bank made the important decision as the first foreign firm to list on the New York Stock Exchange in those immediate weeks after that. And this moment for us up here at Columbus Circle is just as seminal, just as pivotal, because we feel that we're also excited to be part of this return back to the city. We'll be bringing close to 5,000 people back to this office over the course of the next 6 months, and we're absolutely thrilled to be part of that.
You have such an interesting strategy, because while some banks are bringing people back in thousands now or in the coming weeks, we've heard that Deutsche Bank still has people coming in 2022, that there's some time for them to come back in.
Yeah, so this whole experience of the last year and a half has been a real leadership challenge, certainly for me, but I know for many in our industry. And we've really needed to think about how do we balance the safety and well-being of our staff with the performance and success of our firms. And we've reflected a lot on that over the last year and a half, always having kind of a principles-based return. That began, of course, in March of 2020 with needing to get, the information that we had at our fingertips back then was get people into their homes and get them safe. As we've navigated through this, science has helped us to know testing helps getting people back in the office. Ultimately, vaccination has been the real key. And so we've communicated really openly with staff throughout this, and are thrilled to now have the confidence with vaccines in place to be bringing people back in person. But as much as we believe, and we very strongly believe in the value of collaboration, you'll see so many examples of collaborative spaces around this beautiful new building. We also understand, we've learned a ton about flexible working arrangements, right? And the value that that can have in making sure that we continue to be an attractive employer in this industry.
Well, speaking of flexibility, there's so many people that are bringing people back very quickly, as we had discussed. Do you think Wall Street risks the talent it has if it moves too fast?
So I think we need to clearly differentiate between what we call the return to office versus reimagining the future of work. And those two may not operate on the same timeline, and may not in different pockets of the organization operate on the same timeline. As you say, we're bringing people back over the next 6 months, and we're working through the articulation of that future vision. We've got nearly 80% of our staff coming back to this building with the option to have up to 40% flexible working arrangements. And that's a phenomenal opportunity, I think, to re-envision the way we collaborate one another and what does office space really mean.
So there's also the idea that you've inherited this bank that in the US that is a lot leaner, right, than the one that you inherited when you had stepped in just a couple of years ago. So when we look at Deutsche Bank's presence in the Americas today from a business perspective, what can we expect it to be in the next year or so? Where can we expect it to grow?
So when we met 2 years ago for the first time, Sonali, I told you that my mission was to make Deutsche Bank in the Americas smaller, tough message, simpler, but in doing those two things to ultimately make us stronger. And we're talking now 2 years later, and we're really well advanced on that mission. We've stabilized the platform. We've made difficult decisions around shedding businesses that weren't successful, weren't profitable for us in this market, and we've set the firm on much more solid footing by concentrating on the businesses that are our signature strengths. We've got a spectrum of businesses across the fixed income and credit origination space that are really genuinely of value for our clients, where we're bringing real value in terms of financing growth opportunities in this very dynamic market here in the US, and we're very proud of those businesses.